he's like, fuck this guy. Like, because we got into it.
That's brilliant, Tony. It's exactly what people must understand, and
Right.
that's how you basically learn
Right.
a language effectively.
Pretend this dot is everything that you could possibly say about language learning. All right.
Okay.
That's the sort of pre-Big Bang, like the Tao itself or something like that. And now when you double click on that, you find this infinity symbol that has two things to it. So one becomes two. All right. And what those two things are, to save me from writing it all the way out, trust me, that's a C for conversation.
Okay.
And that's an S
Yes.
for structure.
Structure. Okay.
And structure and conversation create each other, because if I can have a simple conversation with you in Russian, even if it's my first day learning Russian, I'm going to understand, well, does the verb go first, or, is it a verb at the end? Like if you tell me, oh, I, Tony M, I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to go, okay, so I coffee drink.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So we learn structure from conversation. In fact, the best way to learn structure is from conversation. Because
Oh
if you're my
yeah.
teacher of Hindi and you say, Tony, it's I coffee drink. Why? Because this is a subject, object, verb language. I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you lost me. Maybe not, but a lot of people go, you kind of lost me. And if you keep explaining and keep explaining, pretty soon you are going to lose me, because I'm going to go, where's the traction here? Where's the context? Where's the conversation? So the best way to learn structure is from conversation. That's one of our
Oh yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Likewise, structure creates conversation, because if you tell me it's I coffee drink, then I can say, how do you say tea? Oh, it's sha. Okay, well, I sha drink.
Yeah.
Look at you, like you. So structure creates conversation. We say
Yeah.
conversation teaches structure. Structure creates conversation.
And that's why it's unending. You
For
can go to
sure.
infinity. It's
Exactly.
yeah.
So our sessions surf, if you will, between conversation and structure, and we can see more of how that looks in action. But generally, universe like yin and yang, really. Like if you like, structure is the yang and the conversation is the flower. If we can zoom in on structure real quick, there's a little wheel in there, and there's a little wheel inside of conversation too. And so now let's set aside conversation for a second and just continue to go into structure. Okay. So the first epiphany about structure that I had a long time ago when I was teaching classes is, if you give me this verb, such as I drink, I am, whatever the verb is, past tense, I went, your vocab is branch, it's variables. The verb is the constant, and the vocabulary are variables. So if 20 people in a room say I am, get 20 different answers, but it's all pinned together by the same verb starting point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put that same verb starting point in the second person form of a question. Do you like waffles, pancakes? You have what I call instant conversation. So I used to write this, what I call conversation tree, on the whiteboard in front of 20 people in a class, or 12 people, and go, turn to your partner and ask them a question in Spanish. And it's like a magic, because they go, oh, damn, I choose your verb, choose your vocab, and you can go back and forth having what I call instant conversation. After a few sessions of doing this, I thought, man, they don't even need me. Like, I solved language learning. Just use the instant conversation tree, and they can just go forever. I just sit there, and I would sit in class. I'm just like, here's a new verb for you, and then like go walk outside the room and walk around and stuff. What I found out after a little while was that something was missing, because after, like, we used to do like a 5 hour like boot camp class back in the day. And I was like, dude, this is so easy. After like 45 minutes, they're like, okay, okay, what now? Like, what's, this is cool, but like, there's something, okay. And what I realized is this: that fractal shape, that tree shape, where the verb contains vocab in the sense of contiene, it holds it together. you got to zoom out a little bit and start. Biggest picture is topic. So set aside this for a second now. We've zoomed way out. Your topic is your ultimate seed, all right? So you're gonna talk about ice cream in Russian. Let's do it. Let's talk about ice cream in Russian, right? Once you've established a single topic, there are going to be three, which is to say infinite, questions on that topic. So topics flow into questions, right? The topic is mangoes. Look in front of me. Okay, ask me a question about mangoes. Tony, do you like mangoes? Do you eat mangoes? When's the last time you ate a mango? Go forever, right? Your topic flows into multiple questions. Your questions flow into multiple answers because for every one question, when's the last time you had a mango? Last time I had a mango was 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 4 days ago. You have multiple answers to your questions. And then once you've established the context of topic, think concentric circles, topic, questions, answers, now you reach the verb and vocab section. So imagine I drew two more iterations here that are back here. So this is here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just recently, a friend of mine said, that's cool. Topic, question, answer, verb, vocab. And we realized when you get to the vocab, if the topic was started at mangoes, but yeah, like, well, the mangoes grow out here, avocados too, right outside. Avocado is new vocab. All of a sudden, you're talking about avocados and you're back on a topic. Avocados is the new topic. So we find that often at the long end of the tail of that dragon whose head is topic, you find that the one part of its tail becomes the new head, and we realize that it's an Ouroboros, the snake that eats its own tail.
Yeah.
And this is what it's. So if I drew you'd go topic, question, answer, verb, vocab, topic, okay, becomes a language learning sort of Ferris wheel. And once we realized that, we realized some other interesting things. For example, the more basic a person is at a language, the more new they are, the more of a beginner they are at that language, the closer to the tail you need to jump on the dragon. In other words, we've had lessons. I had a little mini lesson with Fabio's wife in English where we just played the verb and vocab game. Like, oh, my favorite ice cream, my favorite book, I like to cook, and back and forth. If you're more advanced in a language, you can start closer to the head. In other words, advanced Spanish speaker, Portuguese speaker, maybe Russian speaker, Pascal. Okay, just talk to me about mangoes. Like, I don't even have a question for you. Let's just talk. So a bunch of interesting things have come out of the spin the wheel, the language learning dragon, or the Ouroboros.
Absolutely.
That's the talk on structure. All right. So that's the wheel that we've just seen on structure. All right. Any comments or questions here?
It's really interesting because Tony, because it's really that's kind of the way I used to teach English and French.
Yes.
Because people they have this, sometimes they have this idea that they have to know a whole bunch of,
right.
They have to be able to not make mistakes and know a lot of vocabulary before they start talking. Right. Before they start, they just know. I said, no. So I kind of had the same kind of, and I like the lines that you drew. And incidentally, just an aside, I wrote a book in 2013 for translators, and I used mind mapping.
Yes.
And it was so it reminds me of mind mapping, because as I said before, if you remember, Tony, I said that language is organic. So and that's exactly, it looks like a tree, it looks like a plant that grows and it branches into another branch and into a branchlet and into another branchlet, and it's unending.
Pascal, do you want to delve into the second side as well?
I do.
The conversation thing. All right. So if verb and vocab mixes and matches to create instant conversation, right? I'm this. Are you that? I do that. Do you do that? I did this. Did I do that? And whatever
Mm-hmm.
else it may
Mm-hmm.
be. That is your structure. Going back to the structure conversation, that structure. We create a language learning compass now with structure and conversation. Structure
Conversation.
is
Yeah.
verb and vocab. Conversation is questions and answers. So there's really four elements. If there's yin and there's yang, and then there's four elements, and that goes. I mean, you probably know that like exactly along with like the Taoist idea that there's yin and yang and four elements, or maybe five elements. But these are the four elements of language learning. We like to say that we have one teacher that is our best teacher, right? And it's not Fabio and it's not me. There's the best teacher is a question. Question's the best teacher. Without a question, it's like lifting weights without anything. Like the question is
Mm-hmm.
the resistance.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
The last thing I'd like to say about this whole thing is that we use the OPI oral proficiency interview. That's the speaking test that military linguists take. If you graduate from DLI, which is where I graduated from for Arabic, and that's the military language school and all of that, the speaking test is the OPI. And there's something about the OPI that I always liked. I didn't always I don't really like tests, like have to go, oh, fill in the right grammar, fill in the right conjugation. I'm like, this is too slow for me. It's too hands off. I need to get in my fingers in the cake, But the OPI I always enjoyed because it's basically just if I'm taking the test, you're just asking me questions. And so I've realized that the OPI is a great way for the language learner, to enter what I call survival mode. So we have creative mode and we have survival mode. Survival mode is like, there's no help, like this is real. And so I find a lot of language teaching classes and whatever, they hang out in creative mode all day.
Mm-hmm.
But what would happen in that cake baking class if someone said, all right, I'll be back in 45 minutes. I need to see your cake and you'll be judged on it. Pretty soon you're like, oh, shit. How did you do
Yeah.
that again? Like, you're not just sitting there going, oh, like you're going like, got to bake a cake right now. 45 minutes on the clock. Gordon Ramsay is coming back. You know what I mean? That's survival mode. And I find that the OPI format creates survival mode. By the way, we also find we're experimenting with this, but we're exploring this concept of one question a day. That if a person learns to answer one question a day for 5 days and then takes 2 days off, and then repeats that for 4 weeks, that's 20 questions. The effect being that a month from now, we could open this call and you could say to me, Tony, da-da-da, 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 rattle off 20 questions to which I respond. And the underlying theme there, Pascal, by the way, is that we're not into recall, we're into reflex. So there's a huge mantra here in our dojo. It's reflex, not recall. I don't want to hear, and Fabio and I did this. We did a learn Arabic in 2 weeks. You can't learn everything, obviously, but like how much can you learn in 2 weeks? And that's on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen or if you talked about that, but you can watch Fabio and I go through 10 sessions. And a big mantra there was no, I screwed it up. Reflex, not recall. There were times when I'm giving Fabio his practice Arabic OPI, and I see him reaching for words to try to like show me that he like knows that word. And I'm like, dude, why are you trying to remember mango? Like, apple, just say apple. And I have to like get on his ass, like about like, why are you trying to recall? And there's like a breakdown in one of our videos where it's like in the thumbnail in the video, I put a little quote. He's like, "Fuck this guy," like because we got into it.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Tony, that's exactly, yeah, it really, I totally understand and I totally relate. It's exactly what people must understand, and
Right.
that's how you basically learn
Right.
a language effectively.
There's a scheme like this where if you're a complete beginner to the peaceful martial art of the OPI, then you're a white belt, no? And we've
Mm.
realized that as you go up the hill, am I going the right direction? Yeah. As you go up the hill, it's a matter of going up a hill only for so long until you hit this sort of critical mass where you're now going downhill. And what does it mean to go downhill? Well, once you become conversational in Russian, then you're like a snowball because you don't need to be told much. Like if you want to tell me grammar, you tell me in Russian. Like you could just, and I'm picking up even more than that subconsciously because my listening ability is so tuned in now.
Mm-hmm.
I become like a snowball. The more you speak, the more you understand. The more you understand, the more you
More
speak,
to
and you
speak.
really grow like a snowball. If this is white belt and that's black belt, and then we put the colors of the rainbow in between, which are 7 colors, you're left with green here. Green is the heart chakra. So it's like knowing the language by heart, which kind of worked out in a cool way. Once you're conversational, you know things by heart. So that leaves us with red, orange, yellow, and then blue, indigo, violet, right? So it goes white, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and black. And we've identified everyone is somewhere on this spectrum. What does black belt mean? Black belt means the only thing left to do, the final frontier of things, is your personality. Your accent is your linguistic personality. Different than pronunciation. Pronunciation is hardware. Accent is software.
It's funny because you've put into words what I really think, I've always thought